What's going on, you guys? TBR here, back yet again with another King of Fighters All-Star video, and happy Friday to all of you out there. I hope you all enjoy the impending weekend. It seems like this went really fast this week. I don't know about you guys, but maybe it's just me. In today's video, though, we are going to talk about a topic that I have admittedly been wanting to talk about and dedicate a video to for quite a while now, to be honest with you guys. This one's probably a little overdue, but there is a video and a topic that I've been meaning to make for a while, and I figured that considering the fact there's a couple of videos that I'm wanting to do that are going to be kind of centered around the new year and things that kind of went right over the course of 2021, things that went wrong over the course of 2021, things that need to be addressed going into 2022, so on and so forth, as it pertains to the King of Fighters All-Star, I figured that today we'd go ahead and kick that series off with this topic, because this is something that, like I said, I've been long overdue to talk about. This is the #1 issue plaguing the game for me right now. Among all the other issues out there that people talk about, this to me is the one that could potentially be the most damaging over time if Netmarble doesn't address it in 2022. So we're going to be talking about it in today's video. But before we do all that, make sure if you guys haven't already done so, you smash that like button and subscribe. And you guys know what time it is. Do the intro. Alright, you guys, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we are going to be doing something that we haven't really done a whole lot of in the past several months that we used to do a lot. And we're just going to sit back, we're not going to have a bunch of footage playing or anything like that. What we're going to do is we're just going to sit back, we're going to have a discussion. And this is a discussion that I almost did as a Dear Netmarble, but I am planning to do several different videos over the course of the next week or so, as long as there aren't a bunch of new things coming up that I need to cover. But I've been planning to do a series of videos. You know, there's going to be a video or two about things that Netmarble did well in 2021. There's going to be a video or two, kind of like this one, that, you know, addresses some of the issues that have kind of plagued the game and need to be addressed going into 2022, kind of like an end of year type of series. And I wanted to go ahead and talk about this topic today in this way because, in my opinion, and I don't want to talk about every little problem going on in the game right now, otherwise we'd be here all day. But I want to talk about one particularly, one that has really been bothering me for a while, one that I know I've mentioned to you guys several times here on the channel has bothered me for a while. And when I talk about this topic, I don't want you guys to think that I am ignoring all the other issues in the game. So before we even talk about what that topic is, I want you guys to realize all the other issues in the game. I realize they exist, but I don't have enough time in one video to sit here and talk about every little thing in detail, because that would take forever and nobody would watch that much of it. So, because the attention span of some of you, not very good. So, what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about what I think is the biggest problem with this game that could end up, even more so than things like the rates, which I know that there's going to be a bunch of people who are going to comment about the rates in the comments section, even though it's totally off topic, and even though I've talked about how certain things with the rates need to change, little things here and there need to change, like for instance, they need to take the off-banner fests out of the damn limited banners. That would be a big benefit to everybody. But I want to go ahead and talk about this one because this is the one, in my opinion, because I've been around gacha games for a long time. And this is the one that, in my opinion, could kill this game over time if they don't get on top of it. And that issue, some of you might know what I'm going to be talking about here. That issue is lack of new content. So when it comes to this game, over the course of the past year, we've gotten a few new things for content dumps, right? There's been a few things. You know, the biggest ones that come to mind as far as actual new in-game modes over the course of the past year that kind of are still around. Obviously, Chapter of Fight. We have Chapter of Fight, which Chapter of Fight, you know, whenever it first released, and this is going to happen with any new game mode. It doesn't matter how good it is or how bad it is. Any new game mode, whenever it first comes out, people are going to crap on it. That just is the way it is. They're going to shit on it. It is what it is. And when it comes to that, you know, I know that Netmarble could probably, over at the Netmarble offices, get a little discouraged over that, but, you know, just take that for what it is. Because, like, for instance, when Chapter of Fight first came out, people crapped all over it. And I feel like ever since, you know, now that we have several months removed since its release, people have kind of gotten to the point where you never hear about it anymore. I feel like people have kind of gotten accustomed to it and realized it's not that bad. To me, it's just kind of more of the same, and it's kind of boring, and that's kind of the problem. But at the same time, it's not a bad mode. It's just kind of whatever. So when it comes to other things that we got this past year, we got Dymo's Base, but you'll notice that we don't have that in here anymore, because while Dymo's Base has been around for several months, it was in a beta phase, and it's been in a beta phase since its release, and they have made changes to it. They have, you know, for good or for better or for worse, but you know, it's one of those things where now they've taken it away. It's going to come back. It's probably going to be modified. Hopefully it will no longer be in a beta phase, and hopefully they've listened to us on some of our feedback, and hopefully when it does come back, it's in a good place. But outside of those two game modes, a lot of this stuff has been around forever, and that's the problem. So like, if you go through your tabs, if you go through here, I've been playing this game since day one. Right? And I don't know how many people that watch my videos have been playing this game for, you know, 2-3 years or 2-3 days. But you go through here, and this stuff has been around forever. I mean, some of it's a little bit newer than other things, like you go through the admin dungeon, and of course the Hall of Elements hasn't been around as long as some of this other stuff, you know, and you go through the challenge dungeon, and you'll see, like I said already, you know, you've got things like Chapter of Fight and yada, yada, yada. But you go through here, all this stuff has been here forever. Like, it's getting to a point where I'm beginning to wonder if Netmarble has run out of ideas. It's getting to the point where I'm wondering if maybe they've cut their staff down so much from things from, you know, the pandemic, that it's gotten to the point where they just don't have the manpower. Maybe they ended up laying off all the people that had good ideas. I don't know. But I'm not trying to make jokes in this video about this, because this is a big problem. You know, like for instance, there's things that they could do, and I'm not going to get into, you know, a wish list of game modes that I've brainstormed myself. I'm not trying to make this into the big review all-star or something ridiculous like that in this video. But when it comes to original ideas, when it comes to new in-game content, new in-game content is not this type of stuff. It isn't reskinning a roulette and releasing one every month. It isn't releasing a new banner with the next power creep level every 2-3 weeks. That's not new content. It's kind of like, and I had said this on the Discord, and I don't know how many of you are familiar with a game like Pokemon Go, but I used to play Pokemon Go all the time. And one of the big complaints with Pokemon Go was Niantic's opinion, Niantic being the ones that are the devs behind Pokemon Go, for those that don't know. Niantic's idea of new content is just a shiny Pokemon being added into the game. And that's what it almost feels like with the King of Fighters All-Star anymore. You know, this game does make a decent chunk of money. You know, you can find the sales charts out there, and while this game has never been, you know, a top 10 game, and it never was going to be, it's the King of Fighters. You know, even the hardcore fans of the King of Fighters realize that the King of Fighters is a bit of a niche fandom. And we almost prefer it that way. But when it comes to the sales for this game, they clearly make plenty of money to keep it open for this long, and to be going into another year of this game and not be having any major issues, and be perfectly willing to go out and buy up new IPs, or sign new contracts with new IPs rather, and come out with new collaborations and things like they've been talking about in some of the dev videos and things. So they clearly realize that the fan base is there for this game. But my wonder on this, my thought on this, my opinion on this is, how long are the veterans going to be able to hold out before we just get to the point where we're all just totally bored? And I'm not at that point, obviously. I'm not at that point. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is over the course of 2022, this is going to be a big test for Netmarble, especially the King of Fighters All-Star dev team. Because we are heading into what could end up being the most important year in this game's history. If Netmarble in a year's time has not changed any of this stuff, like for instance, how hard would it be? And this is us settling, right? Because this wouldn't be new content, quote unquote, necessarily, but it would at least be something new to do. In fact, I would go ahead and just call it new content, even though it would be kind of reskinning things or just doing rehashes of what we've already had, but that's better than nothing. Beggars can't be choosers. When it comes to things like adding in, I don't know, a new relay boss, what about a new Immortal? Can we get a new Immortal? We could easily get a new Immortal. You could just go ahead and add in a couple new Immortals. There's all sorts of things they could do. One thing I know a lot of people have been begging for and really hoping for, and I think needs to happen very soon, we need a new guild raid boss. Like, Netmarble, for all their faults and for all the positive things you can say about them, because there's good and bad in Netmarble's way of doing things, they really have fallen off a cliff when it comes to figuring out how to implement new content. You know, when Daimo's Base first came out, it was in a beta phase. You know, I hate to come back to that, but when Daimo's Base first came out, it was in a beta phase. We all understood that, but for the most part, people appreciated Daimo's Base and seemed to like it. Now, of course, Daimo's Base in its original iteration was kind of tedious and easy. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it wasn't necessarily the most difficult thing in the world, especially if you had a healing striker and you were relying on that and playing correctly. It wasn't that difficult. Now, when they made the changes, and I'm not going to try and get into the debate of, you know, whether or not this game content should be overly difficult or not, but when we talk about the changes that were made, it felt obligatory. Like, it felt like when they made those changes to that game mode, it felt like really what they were trying to do is they were just trying to make obligatory moves to try and make it more difficult, but at the same time, they didn't do anything to make it more entertaining. They just made it suck because they had already spoiled people on it for a few weeks, making it as easy as it was, or at least having it out as long as they did in the way that it was at the time, to where people got used to it. And like I said, even though we understood it was in a beta, that pissed people off. And so that was one thing. But now Daimo's Base is gone completely. So the newest in-game actual game mode that we've had in months isn't even in the game anymore, for now. So how long can this continue at Netmarble? I don't think it can continue throughout 2022. I think that this game, and I'm going to go on record and say this right now, I think if this game does not get new content in the next year, if they do not start really thinking about what they're going to do with this game as far as content is concerned, I think they're going to kill their game. And people are going to comment and they're going to say, oh, well, Netmarble wants to kill the game. Netmarble wants the game to die. No, they don't. Netmarble wants to make money. Netmarble wants profit. For those of you who haven't seen it, you know, my buddy Gunny over on his channel, he had done an amazing video breaking down last year the finances over at Netmarble, and you might be surprised that Netmarble doesn't necessarily make as much money as you might think. And that's going for their entire company. Once you consider all their overhead, and again, he broke all this down perfectly, it was great. Definitely check out his channel, I'll leave a link in the description, but over on his channel when he did that video, he broke down where all that money went, how much money of that money went where, and all this other stuff. And when you kind of look at it and break it all down, you realize, yeah, it's not like they're making billions of dollars a year. So at the end of the day, my worry is that 2022 is going to be more of the same, and 2022 cannot be more of the same. Netmarble needs to realize that characters do not equal content, period. Reskinning these events is not content. This is stuff that we have all been, in my opinion, even the loudest haters out there have been more than amenable towards Netmarble on, more than understanding on. We have been more than patient. But Manager Kiki and the dev team, in the next dev video or whatever the case may be, they need to say something about this. They really need to address this problem. It seems like they try to kind of dance around the topic. It seems like they try to kind of hide behind, you know, oh, well, we have this plan, that plan, or, you know, there are things coming, or, you know, or they just don't address it at all, which honestly, I can't remember them full on going, okay, somebody's asking us, why is there never any new content in the game? And going, okay, well, this is why, or this is what we're going to do, or we realize it's a problem. That is my issue at this point, because they have to realize it. That, or they're just kind of sitting on their hands and they're hoping that nobody ever notices. Because here's the thing, guys. As much as you guys like to debate about power creep, as much as you guys like to complain about power creep, as much as you guys like to talk about who the next top DPS in the game is, doesn't freaking matter. Doesn't. None of that matters. When you have the same content for years on end, that almost any one of the characters, like, I don't even have to go past this part of the screen. About 90% of the characters you're looking at could clear 90% of what's in this game, if not more. So power creep doesn't matter. I don't care if Boss Syndrome Ash can do 10% more damage than Boss Syndrome Nameless. I don't care if Ash can do 5% more damage than SS King, because what does it matter? All three of those characters can clear pretty much the same content. Like, when people talk about this kind of stuff, I just laugh at it. And I'm not laughing at the person, I'm laughing at the game. Because, again, what does it matter? Now, there's something to be said. There is something to be said about wanting to just have a relaxing, fun game experience and, you know, maybe not release a whole lot of just really hard game modes that could potentially frustrate a person. And, you know, people just want to be able to log in, do dailies, and do this, do that, and be done with it, blah, blah, blah. Now, you know, really, when it comes down to it, even things such as Epic Quest and Story Mode, right? It took forever to get the new Epic Quest. Now, granted, we're all very appreciative, but it took so long. So long. And again, we've all been understanding about the pandemic, but so long it took us to get Epic Quest, to get Story Mode, right? Why can't we just get Inferno? Is it really that hard? Can we just get the other difficulties at this point for some of this past story content? Like, I know that that's not necessarily new content, but it's something for us to do, right? Netmarble had this weird, crazy idea at the end of 2021 that they were going to release this giant update, they were going to give us new story mode and blah, 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 and act like it was this some big deal for this, like, end of year thing. Not really. It's stuff that you should have been releasing or should have released a long time ago. And to be honest with you, the New Year's and like the Christmas stuff and all that other stuff was fine. What was Netmarble's New Year's like events? A roulette, a cheering event that most people don't even think is actually working because it doesn't seem like the numbers have moved or shifted since Monday, like at all. We got a new banner, which admittedly is 2 fan favorite characters, but it's just another banner. Like, you look through here, there was good stuff with this. These 2 things right here saved this event. Saved it. 100% saved it. You know why? It was new content. It was reskins of old content, but it was new content. These 2 things right here were awesome. Now, were there issues considering the fact that you had to have characters that they just dropped in order to even play them? Yeah. But it was new content. And I would even go as far as to say as things like this tower right here, they should do one of these every month. Every month. It should have tons of rewards. It should be released every month. And they should have a limited subset of characters from the Fest pool, from the Unified banner and the Limited banners that you can use in these. And they should do that once a month. It would help us with extra in-game items, for one thing. And it would also give us extra rubies once a month. And it would give us something to do. You know, and some people might say, oh, well, Dymo Space was kind of like that. Then turn Dymo Space into one of these with the right rewards, with all this fun stuff that you get for clearing each tier. Because then we won't feel like we're completely wasting all of our time clearing 9 out of those 10 tiers, because only one of those tiers every 10 is going to give us rewards. Now, I'm not somebody that really tries to overly complain about stuff. I'm usually, as you guys know, if you've been here with the channel long enough, you know I'm usually a very glass half full type of guy with this game. But I am saying this not from a standpoint of negativity. I'm not saying this to be a jerk. I'm not saying this to be negative about the game in any way, shape, or form. I'm saying this because I love this game and I want this game to do well and I want this game to survive. And if this game is going to do so over time, and again, there's going to be people that are just going to comment doom and gloom. Don't even bother. You're not even worth making the comment. We've all heard it all before. It isn't constructive and nobody wants to listen to it. If you have something constructive to say, if you have something outside of, oh, this game's going to be dead in February. We had people saying the game was going to be dead in November, and I kept telling them that, no, this game's going to be around all year next year. Just wait for it. and lo and behold, here we are. Like, just stop. Like, you're not helping, and it's not constructive. But something does need to be changed, or a year from now, I don't know that I'll be saying that. And I don't want to think that way. But at the same time, how long can it go on with this game where we are just getting nothing but the same events? And these events that they roll out, they aren't even anything that we can really do anything with. Like, there's no gameplay here. I just press a button. Yay, bingo. Woo. I'm so happy. Actually, that's pretty cool. But I don't know, you guys. This is something that has been bothering me for a long time. And again, I don't even care if Netmarble gets to a point where they just start reskinning things and giving us which they've done in the past numerous times, and I don't know what would stop them at this point, but just giving us more of this stuff. That's more rubies. That's great. Give us more of these. That's more rubies there one time. That's great. Like, give us something new, because it doesn't take much. If you were to give us, for instance, that new guild raid boss we mentioned, a ton of people would be pacified for weeks. So I don't know what's going on at Netmarble's offices. I'm sure that the pandemic, and we know that the pandemic really hit them hard when it comes to their staff and their way of doing things. But it gets to a point where the excuses are going to start to have to stop. And we're going to have to start to get to a point where we're going to need some answers on this one, because you can't continue to consider a new story chapter once in a year, basically, as being something that's, oh, a great big deal. Awesome. It's finally here. It took you long enough. Most people that were excited for that probably quit. Like, they probably left 4 months ago. So you need to start really looking at this, Netmarble, and really start taking this seriously. I'm not trying to be, again, a Debbie Downer on anything, and I'm not sitting here telling you guys that this is doom and gloom and that the game's going anywhere, because again, I've already established I think this game's definitely around until 2023. I don't know what their contract status is after that, though. I know SNK isn't very picky about re-signing contracts with mobile games. That's another thing people need to realize is SNK don't care. Like, SNK, if it's making some money, they don't care. So, but it's one of those things where the community does, and I think the community deserves better. You know, I think the community definitely has been loyal to this game. This game has been around for as long as it's been, and we have been loyal. And I think that loyalty needs to be rewarded. I think that we deserve better than at the end of the year, we finally get a little bit of new content, but the rest of the year, we've basically been sitting on Baltic or crap, to make a very dated stand-up comedy reference. You know, we deserve better than to get a new story chapter added and for Netmarble to act like it's some great big giant deal when it's been God knows how long. You know, I just feel like Netmarble needs to figure it out. And in 2022, I hope it is the year that they do, but I have my reservations. I'll believe it when I see it. But anyway, you guys, let me know your opinions on this in the comment section down below. Like I said, this is an open discussion about this topic. I don't want to make this about all the other issues in the game, because again, you could make any number of videos about any number of issues. But at the same time, if you don't add new content to a video game, the video game gets stale, and when the video game gets stale, the video game dies. And this game this year cannot go another year with such sparse content drops. And I'm sure that there's things that I've forgotten in here. There's probably things that I didn't mention. There's probably little things here and there, but that's the thing. They're so small that I could forget them. So, yeah, that's a problem. Anyway, you guys, let me know your opinions in the comments section down below. Like always, if you enjoyed this video and found it informative, like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Continue.